how do you incorporate your spirituality into your everyday life? Or how do you connect to the goddess and God every day? Um, I spend time every day in prayer to the goddess and to the God, and that's something I try to begin my day with, and something that I end my day with as well. And I also pray over all of my meals too. I think that it's important for me to, when I have a meal, to offer some kind of thanks for that, because I know what it's like to be hungry, and not everyone has that in the world. Not everyone has 3 meals a day, and I feel very blessed and very fortunate to that. So I have a very active prayer life, and that's one of the ways that I connect with them on a daily basis. I also, in the morning, I will pick a tarot card too, and I always ask the Lord and Lady to give me guidance through whatever tarot card comes up. And that's been something that's been very effective for me as well. So those are 2 ways, through prayer and through divination, that I connect with the Lord and Lady every day. I'm very interested in becoming Wiccan myself and following the spiritual path. So my question is, what is the best way for a person to start off in the path of Wicca? I would say the very first thing would be to learn as much as you can about all of the different traditions of Wicca that are out there, and I would read everything that I possibly could read, which is typically what most Wiccans do when they're beginning. Um, I would also do some kind of dedication right at the beginning, and I would open myself in meditation to the goddess and to the god, and I would ask them to reveal themselves to me and guide me, and then I would follow, I would try to educate myself at that point about the different traditions and different aspects of Wicca. And when I decided that, when I would decide to, if I were just starting out right now, if I were to decide to start following Wicca, I would begin a year and a day from that point, and I would start devoting myself to following the seasonal cycles of the Sabbats and the lunar cycles of the Esbats, and I would start trying to learn as much as I could about the Wheel of the Year and about various aspects of Wiccan practice. It doesn't always have to be an exact year and a day before then you would perform an initiation. Sometimes it would take longer. Like if you didn't feel like that you knew enough or felt comfortable enough, then you can take longer than that. There's no rush for people to become initiated. So at some point along that path, when I felt ready, then I would perform some kind of self-initiation on myself. I would design an initiation ceremony, or I would try to find a group and be initiated into the group as well. If you're going to go with the group path, then or a coven or a circle, then you would want to. They would probably have a preset training routine that you would go through for the year and a day before your initiation. So that would take care of it. But yeah, I would say learn everything that you can. And one of the most important things I think is self-awareness, and to dedicate yourself to learning as much about your inner faculties and inner resources as you possibly can. And that's really the bottom line, I think. The next question is, how did magic find you, and what drew you to it? That's such an interesting question, because magic is, in a lot of occult circles, is defined as the art and science of creating change and conformity with will. For me, very early on in life, I had mystical kinds of experiences. I would often see dead relatives, and they would often speak to me and that kind of thing. And I would often know things too in advance of them happening, or I would know things without being told. And even though I don't think it was me willing those things to happen, I always seemed to be kind of in tune with that side of things. Even as a Christian, I was raised a Christian, and I was always taught to kind of deny that side of things because they viewed it as kind of devilish. And when I finally came to Wicca, it wasn't so much the magical aspects of it that drew me to it as it was the spiritual side of it. And Wicca is a participatory kind of faith, a religion, whereas the religion of Christianity seemed to be more of a spectator kind of thing. Like we would all sit there and listen to somebody up on stage, and Wicca was more about becoming involved in in our spirituality and in the actual practice of the religion. And that was the thing that really appealed to me, was having a personal experience with the deities. And the magical side of things, of course, were a wonderful aspect of it. And I think as I grew in Wicca, it became very clear to me that love was the ultimate power, and that anything rooted in love was where I wanted to be. And so that was really it. It was the power of love, really, that drew me to Wicca and to magical practice in itself. So that was a great question. Thank you. This question is, what would the ideal world be like for you? And that's a great question, too. When I visualize what the ideal world would be, I think of a world where we all take into account what other people are going through and what other beings might be going through. And the ideal world would be a world rooted in compassion and rooted in concern for each other and for the environment and for all of the beings that we share the earth with. So that would be ideal. I know that there is always suffering involved in physical manifestation. But my bottom feeling in my heart of hearts is that a great deal of suffering in the world can be avoided if we all work together towards that end. And I think that a great deal of suffering is caused by the fact that in our consumer kind of society that we live in, when the bottom line is profit and not the elimination of suffering or the elevation of life or the serving of life in our world, when the bottom line is profit, suffering escalates, and it's just a horrible thing. And I think there's a growing awareness among people that we need to change our entire paradigm, our entire worldview, and come up with things that work collectively to alleviate suffering and to come together as one people on this planet. And a lot of that is rooted in compassion and our sense of being able to feel with each other and to have empathy with each other and to maybe eventually actually love one another. So that is really the root of the ideal world for me.